What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Lenovo Legion Go S with SteamOS and the Z1 Extreme chipset gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we're going to try out some Darksiders Warmastered Edition, which so far has been doing much better on things. Still has some crashes during the cutscenes, but other than that, it seems fine during the actual gameplay. We can get playable FPS on the Steam Decks, not 60 plus all the time, but at least playable over 30, so that's at least good. I'd expect more, because it doesn't really look that much crazy graphics or better than it did in the old version. But hey, at least the allies could play this time around, so that alone is an infinitely better result, I would say. So I figured we'd do this too, because we didn't get any cutscenes on this thing. It was actually running great, mostly at like 120 almost non-stop, so unless they completely borked it on this, it should be just as good as the allies, if not better. Unless, for some reason, SteamOS was the reason why the Steam Deck couldn't really handle it, and it wasn't anything to do with the Steam Deck's lack of power, which is not very powerful. But sometimes SteamOS still gets in the way on top of its lack of power, and that's never really good. But I'd say it's time to stop labbing. Let's hook this up to Gap Shooter. Let's go get started and see what this guy can do. So, we're gonna go ahead and start off on high, just see what it can do. And if I remember correctly, it actually did slightly better than the allies, but after that, I do believe the allies won. Pretty significantly. At first I thought medium was a little closer, but then I went and looked and I was like, nope. But anyway, let's get some gameplay anyway.
Since the dawn of time, the armies of heaven and hell have waged an endless war. Drawn to the conflict was the Charred Council, an entity bound by ancient laws to preserve order and balance. It held that any great power, unchecked, threatened the very fabric of the universe. In time, heaven and hell came to honor the council and its laws, for none were beyond the swift and terrible justice of the council's enforcers, a fearsome brotherhood known as the Four Horsemen. Amid the turmoil, the first humans emerged. The council foretold that these weak but cunning creatures would someday be integral to the balance. Thus, a third kingdom was named, the Kingdom of Man. By order of the council, a truce was forged between heaven and hell. The great pact was bound by 7 seals to be broken at the appointed time, when man's kingdom stood ready for the end war. A battle that would bring balance and determine the ultimate fate of the 3 kingdoms.
So now for 900p, I know it doesn't say it, but this would be 900p at normal settings. And I think we barely stay around 60. I think it does drop a little, and that's why I was like, oh wow, this isn't quite as good. But I think we at least stay over once we get to 800p and low, but that's like 80-ish FPS to 90 versus like 100 and basically maxed out at 118, 120 FPS. But anyway, let's get into some gameplay anyway. 800p low. And this is the most FPS you can get. Now this one, it almost seems necessary if you want to stay as close to over 60 as you can. The Allies were mostly staying over 60. I think did stay over 60 on medium and not her P, but I don't think this thing could. So it's another one of those classic cases where SteamOS just isn't quite as good, but you can still get playable FPS.
For the light! Happening.
Alright, let's get some camera recorded gameplay now. Alright. Kind of went from this thing winning by a tiny bit on the highest setting to being pretty equal to, I think the Allies stuck me ahead a little on medium, but then the Allies were killing this thing on the lowest setting. They were almost pegged to 120 the whole time. 117, 118. Don't get me wrong, this is still more playable. I will say this one might have slightly better frame times, but we're really picking at hairs then. Oh, no. Nah, I'd say they still do the same little tiny hiccups. Like, both will be pretty smooth, and every once in a while do little things like that. You kind of should know, you'll probably even notice without one of these frame rate counter thingies up. And most people do not play with these on. Did I really throw it twice? Oh, no, not that thing. Now sometimes this game crashes on the cutscenes, so we'll see what it does. Looks like you can get 120-ish in some cutscenes. I'd rather it be opposite. Cutscene 60 and gameplay 120, but hey, I'll take what I can get. And I'm curious if we're gonna crash or not. Just because it doesn't here doesn't mean it never will, obviously, but lots of other systems crashed at least once. Although the LCD Steam Deck I don't think did, and neither did the, what was it? Z1 Extreme Ally, I don't think, just the X did. Oh. No more head and neck. Both of you are dead. Ooh, weird little things in the audio there.
Impossible.
Again, nothing that breaks the game. Just something I noticed. Trying to point out imperfections when I see them.
Cannot be the final seal.
You need to pay more attention, man.
My lord!
How did this happen? The seventh seal was not broken.
Abaddon! What in heaven's name have you done?
I answer the call.
He does. Way smaller area. Should have tried to dodge. I don't know if that even works on that. I know it works for his fists. But more at air pressure. Or I lack energy. Could be an energy blast, I guess. I guess it is more than an energy blast. Look at that car. We're not getting away.
The law has been broken. And so have you, horsemen.
Alright, and with that, we wrap on up. Alright guys, that's a wrap for Darksiders Warmastered Edition. And seemed to run alright. It actually seemed to win a little on high. Pretty equal, but I think the Allies still had the edge slightly on medium 900p. And then the Allies just took the win 100% when we put it all the way down to 720p and low. Whereas this one was still absolutely more than playable, no doubt about it. But we were talking about like 80, 90, maybe 100 FPS to like basically 117, 118, 120 like all the time. So, and then the frame times were pretty equal, both were pretty smooth, had a little hiccup every once in a while, but again, more than playable. It's just the Allies were a little faster this time. But regardless, that's all for this particular video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.